Hello, this is the third podcast episode. Sorry if I sound a little weird. I've been sick all week, fighting a fever. But in chapter 7, we focused on a lot of the how we perceive and understand visual stuff, and how while we see a lot of stuff in fuller detail, our visual systems are a lot more selective and more limited than we might think. Like how we don't really process every object equally at the same time. Our brain kind of uses two main pathways, selective and non-selective pathway. The selective one is what we use focusing on specific objects. It's slower and limited, but it kind of creates an attentional bottleneck. It helps us process details, and we're recognizing stuff goes on, identifying a specific object, or reading stuff, while non-selective is more of quick, automatic, instead of focusing on something. It's just kind of our brain processes the overall structure of a scene, and helps us with layout, depth, and general patterns of things. And then moving on to ensemble statistics. Those are summaries of a group of objects. So instead of seeing every single fish individually in a school of fish, we would quickly estimate how big it is, or the color of it, what direction it's going, as opposed to each individual fish. I just said that, but and so I think it's cool because it's pretty accurate at a lot of the estimates, even though if it's we're not consciously paying attention to it, I guess. And I think that kind of helps us understand scenes a lot quicker, I guess. And within a few fractions of a second, our brains can just grasp the gist of stuff. For example, our brain can immediately tell if we're looking at a beach or a forest or a city, in just fractions of seconds without having to look at every little thing. But that kind of comes with trade-offs. One major limitation would be change blindness, where we fail to notice changes in a scene, especially if that happens during the blinking parts, if that is disrupted, kind of, with the bees and other things like that. But sorry, I'm trying to in the assignments. Anyway, moving on. The reason that our brain doesn't pick up on that stuff very well is because we're not storing a complete detailed image of everything. We're just kind of looking at the gist of it and only focusing on a few elements at a given time. And then inattentional blindness is kind of similar, where we fail to notice something expected, kind of because we're just directed elsewhere. When we're trying to count something, there's this famous video of the time number of a basketball being passed through, and a gorilla walks through halfway through the video, and you don't notice it in your first watch through. Anyway, another interesting takeaway I thought was kind of the memory for scenes. Even if it's incomplete, studies will show that people can remember thousands of images with a lot of accuracy even after brief exposure, but we might miss some really big details or changes throughout, though. So there's a lot of key ideas. Our perception's very rich and detailed, but at the same time, it's very it's based on what we've seen before, and a lot of quick summaries and assumptions about the world, and our brain just kind of fills in a lot of gaps for us. So I'm gonna finish it now. That's the end.